if we believe in the fifth commandment, which a lot of people order as you shall not murder, so if we believe in the fifth commandment, why would a Christian support or serve in the military? Or follow up, could a Christian serve and support the military?
On a journey, mile markers show your progress toward a destination.
New places to see, new people to meet.
And yet, adulting, it's exciting and it's hard.
New experiences.
New fears to conquer.
New questions that need answers.
None of us get to the destination on our own. When that destination feels 1,000 miles away, you're not on that road alone.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Westendorf. I'm the host for Mile Markers. Great to have you guys with us again. It has been an exciting launch over the last several months as we've been sharing some of the conversations and the topics. I encourage you to check out our playlist. There's many more good conversations to come. And as we're looking ahead for this episode, we wanted to talk to somebody who is working with some of the younger people in this demographic of, well, today we call it Gen Z, but what about the high school kids? What are some of the 16, 17, 18-year-olds thinking about? What are the challenges that they're having? What are the questions that they're bringing? So we asked Pastor Phil to come in and be a part of this. Phil works for a Christian high school in the Milwaukee area. He has been a pastor of a large and growing church in Florida. He's been around the church community and Christianity for a long time, and he's actually gone back to school to get his doctorate as well. So a ton of research that he's been able to do. And he lives this out every day, walking the halls with high school kids who've got some serious questions. And you might think, well, I'm not a teenager anymore. Why is this relevant? Well, I can guarantee you that if you are a young adult, you probably had some of these questions, and if they weren't answered well, if they weren't answered biblically, if we didn't really take a look at that, or we just stopped being curious about it, these kinds of questions you're still carrying with you to this day. And you may not realize it, but even when I was listening to Phil talk about these, I was like, wow, I hadn't thought of that question for a long time. If somebody asked me, I wouldn't even know how to answer that. And so we said, Phil, have a seat and pretend like one of your students just came to you and asked you a question. We would like to be able to just give you some random questions and put you on the spot a little bit and give us what you've learned. What can you share? And so we asked Phil to do that, and we're going to do two of those questions here today. So I encourage you to come along for the ride and join us.
What we're going to do is we're going to cover tough questions. What we're talking about is tough questions with the Bible or Bible teachings or something to do with faith. And these are really common questions that I would hear maybe from students in my classroom or when I was a pastor at my congregation, just questions that are normal to people who are wondering things about Jesus and His Word. And what I want to do is make this really informal, almost like we're having a conversation or like it would be in my classroom, where a student just asks a question randomly and we just talk about what does God say. And here we go. The question is, how does social media play a role in a Christian's or even a teen's life? Well, there you have it. That's basically my life right now, social media and teens. That's a really good question. Well, there's a lot of upsides and downsides to social media. Maybe should we start with the positives? I mean, technology is so amazing on how we can connect. When I lived in Florida with my family, it was an awesome blessing that we could do FaceTime with my parents and with my wife's parents and stay connected with people. Just amazing things that I can say. I have friends right now, a pastor who's living in Zambia, and we can connect and message back and forth. I mean, and that's so awesome. The fact that I can share pictures and videos with other friends of what's going on in my life and keep connected with them, these are amazing, wonderful things that are benefits of technology. Maybe one more thing, really great positive when it comes to social media. So my generation, we're a little bigger on Facebook. Teens is a little more on Snapchat. These are really good ways to share your faith. What an awesome thing to take a big event or the election situation over the years, whether it's in your state or our national election, and to talk about it from a Christian point of view. What an awesome thing to be able to share the good news of Jesus with all people. Jesus said to us, go and make disciples of all nations. And here we don't even have to go to all nations. We can just send stuff out digitally. That's awesome. But for all the amazing things with technology these days, there's a lot of dangers too. And in my opinion, the number one thing that we lose as a people, but especially teenagers, the one thing we lose is our identity. That is who we are in Jesus. And so what I see very often is people chasing after approval from others. So teens will look at their phones and their posts will be based on, how many likes do I have? How many clicks do I get? How many subscribers? How long is my streak on Snapchat? And if they don't have enough likes, they'll take their picture down or their post down. Or if not enough people approve of the way they look, immediately they delete the picture, or maybe they have to put a new filter on it and fix the way they look in the picture. Before you know it, who you are is totally tied up in and wrapped up in what other people think of you. Or with all the technology and social media, very quickly, you can find yourself in the middle of a lot of messy things, a lot of messy sins, a lot of online things that are not good for us in our faith. And with that then comes a lot of guilt that goes along with all of those sinful things. And so again, you lose your identity because you start thinking of yourself in terms of your approval of others, the sinful things you have done, and not, what's my identity in Jesus? And so if you're going to use social media, that's okay for a Christian, that's okay for a teenager, but there has to be a lot of discernment. Because who am I? I'm God's child. I am a lost and condemned creature by my sinfulness inside of me and what I've done, but I'm redeemed, I'm purchased, I'm won, I'm forgiven by the blood of Jesus. That's who I am. And all that guilt that I have about things that I've done, I need to remember what God says in His Word. In the book of Micah, He says He's drowned it in the depths of the sea. In the Psalms, He says He separates our sins as far as the east is from the west. That's how far He's removed our transgressions. Just like if we were covered in crimson, Isaiah says, it shall be as white as snow. This is what I am in God's sight: forgiven, redeemed, restored. So if I can live my life and use social media and use technology in a way that reflects that, I'm a child of God who's loved. If I can use social media and technology to let my light shine, to reflect the light of the world, Jesus, those are amazing things. But as soon as I start losing myself and losing my identity in Jesus, that's when I need to be cautious and careful with my use of social media. So can a Christian use it? Absolutely, but use it with discernment and use it as a child of God sharing His light into the world. If we believe in the fifth commandment, which a lot of people order as, you shall not murder, so if we believe in the fifth commandment, why would a Christian support or serve in the military? Or follow up, could a Christian serve and support the military? Really great question. So let's dissect the commandment first. It's, you shall not murder. And what we want to make a distinction with there is the distinction between murdering and killing. I guess think about the commandment this way. With all the commandments, what is God protecting? It's not just a prohibition with all the 10 commandments, but it's something that God's protecting. So let me give you an example. With the sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery, God is protecting marriage and all the gifts that go along with marriage. And with the fourth commandment, honor your father and mother, God is protecting the institution of family and the relationship with parents and children. So with the fifth commandment, you shall not murder, let's remember, God is protecting the gift of life. So let's have this scenario. Let's say someone breaks into my home tonight, God forbid, and is threatening me, or even more importantly to me, threatening my wife and my children. If I am defending myself, if I defend my family, and that person ends up being killed, us or them, and I kill them, I'm actually keeping the fifth commandment. Why? Because I'm protecting my life and their life. So the same thing spills over to law enforcement. If they are justly protecting others and someone is killed, They're actually keeping the fifth commandment because they're protecting the life of someone else. And so we can therefore apply that also to the military. So one awesome blessing that God gives to us is government. No matter what you think about government or who's in charge, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, government is a blessing because it provides order and hopefully, God willing, peace and stability and laws that protect us. Well, one extension of that protection and that service of government is the military. And sometimes the military needs to protect life by killing. So a Christian can serve in the military and perhaps in good conscience, knowing they're keeping the fifth commandment, protecting and defending the lives of others. Now, we just want to be cautious with that and think about, times of war and when soldiers are out there. This does not give carte blanche to a soldier to just do whatever they want or take out whatever enemies they think. We still have to follow orders and know the objectives of each mission and understand how this falls into the category of that particular fight, battle, or a war. But as long as the Christian is serving the government, which is serving others in the military, they are going to be keeping the fifth commandment, doing an amazing thing, protecting the lives of others. I just can't say that enough, what an awesome thing it is to have people who are willing to lay down their lives for others. And maybe if you think about it this way, it's just like Christ, isn't it? Selfless love, that the good shepherd would lay down his life for the sheep. People don't do that very often, that they're willing to defend others, to love others, to even give their lives for others like Christ has done for us. So many thanks to all the military that are out there and to those who support the military, their families, because they are defending and protecting us and thus keeping the fifth commandment.
So thank you to Pastor Phil. We'll have him back again. He's got a few more questions that we put him on the spot with. So what did you think? Did you ever think about that fifth commandment question? I know I thought about it. I've been in arguments with family about it. Never quite had that answer. And I think that if I had had that information in the way that God sees it in the Bible, it would probably help me have a better conversation with people. What about the social media piece of things? I'm asking those of you who are older, again, if you're a young adult, 18, 25, maybe you're older like me, 30s, 40s, what would you tell, based on what you know now, what would you tell your 16-year-old self about the challenges and the opportunities around social media? What would you tell your specific self about be careful about how long you're on this? I say that kind of jokingly also as a parent and as somebody who's walking with young adults pretty much every day. I kind of get blown off, like, we're good. But I would be curious to have those of you who have been hit by it or hurt by it, tell that story. What would you tell yourself? Those of you who have had opportunities and you've seen God do some neat things through social media, what's your story? What would you share that's a positive? And the last thing I want to ask you is, what are the questions that you never asked when you were 16 years old, but always wanted to, but maybe just other more pressing things came up, college, dating, job, what am I going to do? All those kind of questions, just push those to the side, but they're still sitting under there and they make us doubt the goodness of God. What are the questions that are still sitting and percolating that you never asked? We want to give you guys a chance to ask those questions. So in the comment section below, we do check these out and we do try to respond as often as we can. We're going to look at them, but you leave us your questions. We'd love to be able to bring this to Pastor Mike, Pastor Phil, and maybe some of the others that we bring into this Mile Marker program as we go. Again, check out all the rest of the Mile Marker episodes. Like, subscribe. We would love to take this time to walk the road just a little bit longer with you. Until next time, I'm Mike. We'll see you later.